Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Saturday Morning Comic Review. I'm your host, Dylan Wallace. Today, we got a great issue for you guys. Before we go ahead and jump in, I had every intention on trying to get an Omega done and then leading into, an additional issue or episode of the podcast for this week, but it just didn't happen with all the packing. I had all the books read by Saturday evening, Sunday, and then Monday. I was pretty much done with 10 books. But I just didn't have time to record. So we're just going to take all those and review them for this week. But some positive news on the moving front. So it was kind of touch and go. I think when I last gave an update there with the inspection, we're past all that. So everything's already agreed upon. We're all set for a close date for May 1. So we're officially going forward with the move. And I was actually thinking maybe I got to pull back on comics entirely, right? Because moving to a bigger property, bigger mortgage, it's, utilities and all that stuff, just getting used to everything. And then also having the time then as you unpack, be a couple of weeks where it's just going to be chaos. And so I'm going, I have my real estate agent. She had a recommendation for a lender. I was just using my previous lender. And I don't know why he reached back out just to see if we could get things going. And I just happened to be like, yeah, just see what you can do. Already thinking I'm already way far down the line and I can't back out any of the stuff I've already done, which is not true, especially when you're 30 days out like I am. So just a quick aside, he gives me a whole bunch of quotes or gives me a quote. I look at it, it's way better than what I have. I go back to my lender, which is Rocket. They go ahead and they match it. And then I give it right back. You just go back and forth. Just it's a race to the bottom. If you got a good credit score and all that stuff, they're willing to just cut until it gets to a point where they're like, all right, this is truly the best and final that we can do. So I reduced my rate significantly, and it's going to save $100+ per month. And so with that, the closing costs are going to be less too. So, kind of moral of the story is negotiate with these people, man. Don't ever take any of this stuff for face value. I didn't realize that getting interest rate is basically haggling for a car. It's kind of the same principle here. So nice little lesson there, but it's how often do you go through this process, And so with that, now I'm okay, this actually frees up a lot in the budget that I thought was going to be eaten up. I actually may still be able to do the comics and everything and still have some money on the back end too, which is kind of crazy to even think. So we'll see how true that is. But all of that to say that, yeah, we're going to keep going with doing the podcast and getting the comic books. I think I mentioned before, my local shop is 20 minutes one direction. We're moving 20 minutes the other direction. So it's kind of sucked that I'm going to have to move away from them. But the owner, he owns a different shop that is closer to where the new place will be. And it's basically about the same distance from the new shop to the new house. So that's basically what is going to happen there. So yeah, we will kind of keep this going as much as I can up till the point of the move. I know for sure that week I'm not going to be able to do a show. And then probably the following week, we'll have the internet set up pretty much day one, but you can imagine just unpacking and everything and just feeling comfortable in the place before, you start truly living there. And then all the Home Depot runs and everything else. So I'll just keep you posted there. With that being said, for one final thing, I'm not even going to try to do an Omega from now until the move. So you'll just get the standard issues. I thought I was going to be able to do it, but it just doesn't even make sense to try to commit to something. And then potentially people are waiting for it and I'm just not delivering. So just only the Saturdays up to the point of the move. And then from there, I'll let you guys know what the schedule is. So after that whole breakdown and housekeeping, let's go ahead and jump into it. We'll start with the pulls for this week. And as always, I'd like to go ahead and show what the picks of the week are thus far. I was hoping this was going to be number one, and I'm so thankful that it is. So number one spot right now is Daredevil with 43% of the vote. This is Daredevil number one. I've never read a Daredevil book, and they're all considered very good. One of the earlier ones, I can't remember which year, is considered one of the best runs of all time. So I wanted to pick this up. I'm only getting the first issue, but I'm so glad that true fans, I'm sure, of the book are ecstatic about it because I'm looking forward to reading it. So that's number one. Then we have Absolute Superman issue number 18 with 16% of the vote as number two. Then Batman number 8 with 12% of the vote. Mad About DC number 1 with 4% of the vote. And then Bizarro Year None number 1 is 3% of the vote. So of those, from my poll list for this week, I only have the top two there, but hey, they are the top two, so I'll take it. It's actually a pretty small list overall, so let's go ahead, pull that up real quick. It's just 5 actual comics I have. You'll see there's a 6th one up here for the video, folks, but we have Absolute Superman, issue number 18, The Autumn Kingdom, The Wraithbound Queen, issue number 3. Then it's Batman Dark Patterns, but this is the trade, and this is the larger trade, which has both volume 1 and volume 2 in it. So it's a much larger book. So that's the reason that's in there, and super looking forward to that one. I feel like every time I was going through the picks of the week, Dark Patterns was always there, and that's what made me want to get it. And then I saw, okay, they're going to have both of them in just one graphic novel, so let's just go ahead and wait for that trade. So start diving into that. Then we'll have Daredevil issue number 1, Royals issue number 1, which is independent, and then X-Men issue number 28. So from it, really 5 singles and then 1 trade, but didn't read through any of those. I just went ahead and picked them up today. What we'll be reviewing today are the pulls all from last week. So we had 10 from last week. I read all 10, and that is what is going to be featured on today's show. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the review. So like I mentioned, 10 in total here. Go ahead, pull up the camera so you can see it. If this is the first time you're tuning in, welcome. Appreciate you hopping on. I will be calling out just the 10 books in the order that I will be reviewing them. So for the audio folks, if you want to bounce around the podcast, feel free to. We'll start off with Superman, Spider-Man, issue number 1. So this is the crossover, but DC's side of the crossover. Then we have Absolute Martian Manhunter, issue number 10. Then it's going to be Absolute Wonder Woman, issue number 18. Then Ultimate Endgame, issue number 3. Iron Man, issue number 3. Void Rivals, issue number 28. World Tree, number 19. Minor Arcana, number 15. Skinbreaker, number 7. And then Hyde Street, issue number 11. So those will be the 10 we review in that order. All singles for this one, which is totally fine. Start off here with Superman, Spider-Man, issue number 1. And for me, this, I think, very easily ends up being the comic of the week. This one was much better than when we had Batman, Deadpool, both the Marvel side and the DC side. And I'm glad Marvel actually gave a good character this time rather than Deadpool. Nothing wrong with Deadpool, obviously. Great movies, great comics. But it's not the caliber of freaking Batman. So to have Superman and Spider-Man next to each other, it's like, okay, good. Thank goodness they're actually playing ball. In this issue, it's a large page, comic with 72 pages. It is 8 stories in total. So you have the main focus, it's Superman and Spider-Man teaming up together, which is nice. And then you have 7 additional stories there. And the other stories are just as good. So for me, I gave this a 4 on League. League gave it a 4.3. I could definitely see a 4.5 in this book all day. Not every single one averaged out to being a 4 or 5, so I kind of went with 4 overall, but I was mostly happy with the 7 additional stories. The main story I thought was really good. It's Superman, Spider-Man teaming up together to go after Brainiac. They're also teaming up because obviously Clark Kent, working at the Daily Planet, and then you have, of course, Peter Parker working for the Bugle as well. So that tie-in makes a lot of sense. Brainiac being the big bad makes a lot of sense. How we have the quips mixed in, with Superman just being kind of the white meat baby face, it plays together really well. So it was written well. The artwork was well done. No issues or real critiques on the very first story. And then the other ones, they have some nice little tie-ins and, looking at the different tropes of characters in the DC universe versus the Marvel. So example, they have like this head-to-head with Lois Lane and Triple J, talking about how the Bugle talks about Spider-Man, and the only reason that you give him all this negative press is because he wears a mask, versus the Planet, all the positive press that they give for Superman, and it's basically this argument that they have in a kind of an interview forum, so that's cool. You have MJ and Lois Lane basically commiserating on like, oh my gosh, we're always in trouble, we're always in danger, but we love these guys, like what are we going to do? That whole type of situation. And then a couple other characters that are, kind of partnered up, buddy cop thing together. Some nice cliffhangers too of like, oh man, I wish I could see where this ends up going. It actually seems like this would be a pretty cool series. So when, leaving the people with wanting more, that's always a good thing. Some misses here though. No Miles Morales, which seems like a big miss for Spider-Man to not have him involved at all. Could have done some sort of crossover with any DC character. John Steele, John Stewart, could have mixed in someone completely different as well. Maybe who's like an understudy or feels like an understudy or like trying to live up to their expectation, right? It doesn't have to be like the half black, half Hispanic person, then also with a person of color. But you could have done something there. So I'm really surprised that no Miles Morales. And I don't recall Gwen Stacy being featured at all either. So those are characters where I'm like a little surprising, but I guess that ends up being fine. But at the same time, it didn't feel like they were missing in the sense of like, oh, this is bringing down, and it's like blatantly obvious. So this 8 or so stories that they have in here are all pretty good. And so I would recommend it based on that. Obviously, this is DC's version, so we'll have Marvel's. It's not next week, but it might be the week after that. But here's like, look at this awesome full spread that you have between both characters flying through the sky. Obviously, Superman in his standard pose, and then Spider-Man in his swinging webs going towards Brainiac. Oh, that's right. Dr. Octopus is featured in this one as well. Art is excellent. Storytelling across the board here is pretty cool. Different tie-ins with different characters from both sides of the universe, which felt really cool. I just enjoyed it a lot. It's worth picking up, I'd say. $8 book, so keep that in mind. Both DC and Marvel, they got to get their cut. But I think this one, out of the other two, this is the best. So hoping that Spider-Man Superman, when that comes out a little bit later, is just as good. So this was Superman Spider-Man issue number 1. Again, I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4.3. So with that, I didn't do my whole rigmarole of like, yeah, I'm going to give you the score. So I'll give you the score, the league score, my score. I do spoil the book. Obviously, I didn't spoil it too much on that one, but for the other ones, I for sure will. And so if you don't want spoilers, just kind of keep that in mind. But I'll show off the artwork for the folks that are on video as well. And then I'll try to catch you up on the story and let you know if that is a good issue to go ahead and jump into, or if you need some additional context, so on and so forth. So we finished the first one here. We're going to go into issue number 2 here, which is Absolute Martian Manhunter. Issue number 10, I gave it a 4.5. League gave it a 4.5 as well.
Nailed it. I know. Thank you. Moving on.
And so for this one, I really liked it, obviously, with the 4 or 5, but we're advancing the story in a faster pace than has been in the previous issues, and it's a little more coherent as well. So we have John. In the earlier issues, he was infiltrated, I guess, or just kind of invaded by this green Martian, didn't understand what was going on. They were fighting off a whole bunch of different, the white Martian in particular. Seemed like they kind of defeated him, but then the green Martian was separated from John's mind. Meanwhile, John's battling a bunch of demons in real life. He's going through a divorce right now. He's got a stressful job working for the, I think it's the FBI or like police department, where he's working as a detective. So there's a whole bunch of stress in his real life, while all this stuff that's happening in his head as well. So as the green Martian separated, it's being dissected in kind of an Area 51 type of style thing. And then John's invaded by this black Martian, which represents all the negative emotions, right? Despair, depression, anxiety, stress, you name it. All the terrible stuff. And so now we're at the point where John is getting beaten down by the emotions, and it seems like he's not going to be able to overcome them. So that brings us to issue number 10, and those emotions continue to hit, but somehow John finds it deep within to overcome them. And as he does that, and he fights the demon within his mind, he's able then to get to where the green Martian is. So whether it's a different dimension, a different part in his mind, he's able to get to them. And then from there, he breaks free the green Martian. He's reunited with him, and the black Martian sticks with him as well. So it seems like it's almost a collection of these different emotions or different spectrums that he's going to be piecing together one by one. So all that's good and well. But now the issue becomes his wife. So his wife also dealing with the stresses of going through this divorce. It seems like someone has a grasp of her, and she's going through some sort of psychosis as well. They have a son together, and it looks like she's almost possessed, and it's like, how do I make my son happy? And like kind of a crazed, psycho way, 1,000-mile stare. Doesn't seem like she's all there. And then in her eyes, you can basically see her thinking, or maybe subliminally the messaging is being put into her mind of killing her husband John in order to make her son feel happy. And that's a cliffhanger, which is kind of dope. So we'll see how that all goes. I don't think this is a good one to jump into, but I think issue number 10 will be, because this feels like the big conclusion here of, yes, we've reunited John with the Green Martian, and now the next one's going to be a good place to start the next arc for this story. So pretty good. Again, 4.5. Of course, the art is outstanding, as it always has been. Just with the colors and it's like super Picasso-y in its art style, but then the different deep saturation rainbow-esque colors that you get as you go from page to page. Like as you turn the page, you just never know what to expect of, here are all the crazy things that are going to happen. So this is John fighting through his mind, finally breaking out, and then getting to the Green Martian, reuniting with him, and then here's where the mother is basically, seems like something crazy is going on in her mind. So how is she going to be able to snap out of it, and how's John going to solve it? So that's absolute Martian Manhunter issue number 10. Again, I gave it a 4.5. League gave it a 4.5 as well. Then next up here is going to be Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 18. So for this one, I gave it a 4. Very surprised that Lee gave it a 4.4. To me, this issue was not nearly as good as any of the other ones. I have the variant cover as well. So this is with Wonder Woman with her big battle axe over her back and in the red and black suit that she has been rocking. So I do like this cover a lot, and I'll say it is the cover of the week. The thing with this issue, though, is most of it spends a lot of time... Oh, wrong button there. Most of it spends a whole bunch of time just Wonder Woman and Zatanna trying to trust each other. So Wonder Woman has been attacked by this wizard, and she lost her arm. She's going back to the Heron to heal up. Now, before Zatanna shows up, they're trying to figure out how do we bandage up Wonder Woman and the next plan of attack to take on this wizard. So Zatanna then shows up, and they have a feeling that Zatanna is behind it, and most of the story, or this issue, is just Zatanna trying to convince everyone that she's not there to attack. So you have okay, maybe I believe you, maybe I don't. Oh, you said something I don't like, now we're fighting. But then come to the realization of oh, okay, we are on the same side. We do want the same thing. And we have to go after Zatanna's father, Zatara. So he's the one who, disintegrated her arm, is the big bad threat out in Gate City that Wonder Woman needs to go after. Zatanna and Wonder Woman will team up together and go after him. So that is really the whole issue here. And for me, I was it was good, but it wasn't the same quality that Absolute Wonder Woman has been. So that's kind of what irks me a little bit. But we'll see what the conclusion ends up being up here. I'll go ahead and show off the artwork for this one. Just a rare miss, and you can get a glimpse of cover right here on this page. But, I'm still definitely interested, and we'll keep reading through it. It's not like it's fallen off or anything. They can't all be bangers, right? Very rarely is that the case. But still, the artwork still hits, obviously. I think this one has always been known for the different paneling being interesting, geometric shapes as you go from panel to panel. So you have different pyramids and rhombuses and things like that. And so at the very end here, you have Wonder Woman about to face off against Zatara, which is our cliffhanger before we jump into the next one. Should you pick up this one? I think you'd be better off at 17, maybe even 16, but you would be fine if you jumped in at 18. So not the best place to start, but also not the worst place either. So Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 18, I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4.4. Then next up we have Ultimate Endgame issue number 3. And so for this one, I gave this one a 4. Lee gave it a 3.5, and I can certainly see that. I was waffling between the two, ended up going with a 4. So we are mostly focused on the Ultimates that are trapped inside the Maker's realm, if you will, and trying to figure out how they're going to escape. So last they left off, we were with Tony Stark, who's Iron Lad. We just left his father, who has died, basically, so they could get back to the Maker's city from this pocket dimension. But the Maker is now there, and it seems like they're down and out, and they're not going to be able to escape. And so we picked up the story there, and they're trying to figure out, how do we get out of here, get back to kind of reality and Earth, and then, obviously stop the Maker. And so the Maker's been here for us is real world of like 2 years, but in this realm and where time moves differently, it's been thousands of years, right? So he's like evolved to this crazy psycho thing where you can stop him temporarily, then he learns what it is that you did, and then he just basically gets you. And so Howard Stark and the Maker were in this infinite battle. Howard then, made the sacrifice, and now it's Iron Lad, it's Spider-Man, it's America Chavez, a couple others who are trying to get their way out. And so when it seems like they're down and out and they're about to die, who else shows up but Kang? So very clearly Kang in the colors and the outfit and everything. But Kang then reveals himself. And it's actually Tony Stark. So Iron Lad, Tony Stark from some sort of future is there. And so everyone's looking up at Kang, and then they look down at Tony. Tony is like in this trance, and like he can't snap out of it. So it's some weird thing is happening there. Not explained really at all. But Kang shows up, and he's like, oh, this is exactly how I envisioned it. This is exactly how it's all going to go down. Everyone is where they need to be. And nobody understands what he's talking about. Like he just appeared, and it's like, yep, this is perfect. And just as soon as he appears, the Maker kills him. So he is dead. It's like, what the hell? Then Iron Lad snaps out of it, and then he's back like together, and he basically is like, I know what we need to do now. And then that like kind of sets up this fight that he's about to have with the Maker. But before we close out, Spider-Man, who has the symbiote suit, is fighting the Maker as well. And I can't remember if it's I think it's the Maker like literally taking the symbiote out of Spider-Man's suit and then starting to wear it, and then he turns him into Carnage. So now the Maker is like infused with the symbiote as well in the version of Carnage. Iron Lad says he has a plan, but we'll see, and it just only looks worse. So that was the story, which sounds kind of crazy. And the cliffhanger is, the Maker now is Carnage. It's like, what are they going to do? I liked the fact that you had Kang show up as a big surprise, and that it's also Tony Stark. So this is me probably not doing a good job of projecting I'm excited to see how they tie it back rather than just reviewing the book for what it is. So that's why I ended up 404. And you may disagree with that and be like, well, you didn't like this one issue, so you should really just focus on the issue. But I like how they set it up of like, okay, there's going to be some sort of additional, whether it be time distortion or, teleportation or what have you. But how did we get to this place of Kang being here? And I'm actually excited to see what they end up doing. So that's why I gave it a 4. So with that, let's go ahead, show off the artwork here. Artwork's fine, nothing crazy. So this is when Tony's in his trance. Got some back and forth with some things that are happening on the outside of the city, as well as the fighting that's happening on the inside where things seem dire and hopeless. And when they do, the Maker is here. Kang shows up as Iron Lad, as you can see right here, both on the top and on the bottom. And then he's like, yep, this is perfect. This is where we want everything to be before he is killed, which I think takes place... Where does that happen? Yeah, right here, where he is just eviscerated and gone. And then Iron Lad snaps out of it. They start to attack. This is where the Maker takes over the symbiote suit, and he becomes Carnage. And now things are looking super duper dire. So we'll see where it goes from there. So yeah, that's Ultimate Endgame issue number 3. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.5. Then next up is going to be Iron Man issue number 3. So for this one, I'd say this is like the closest second for cover of the week. This is also the variant cover where we have just Tony and you have the kind of like the center energy piece just like showing off, and then this black background. So really all you see are just the highlights of his suit, and it just looks dope to me. So this particular issue, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.9. And we have Tony trying to find the finalist of this Tony Stark recipient award for these geniuses, who were taken by Madame Mask. So Madame Mask is the big bad. She is trying to create a new version of Tony Stark, if you will. So we're taking classic '06 Tony, built the suit in a cave. How can we put someone just as smart in the exact same scenario and have them create a similar result as Tony Stark? So they want to create their own organic, quote unquote, version of Tony Stark by going through the same challenge. And Tony is trying to track down where they're at. He ends up in Madripoor, where he runs into MODOK, who he think knows something about where Madame Mask is. They're attacked by AIM, which Madame Mask is like kind of in control of. So Iron Man, and now we're in issue number 3. They fight their way out. Iron Man saves MODOK, and Tony comes to the realization of like, oh, there was this helicarrier that we used to have that was decommissioned. And the reason I can't triangulate her location is I bet she took that and is using that as her command center. But what she doesn't know is I designed it, so of course there's a backdoor that I can figure out where it is. And he does. And that, sure enough, is where they're at. So he flies up there, but it ends up being a trap. So he's now trapped inside of the helicarrier, and it looks like Madame Mask is going to also put Tony Storm is a wrestler, put Tony Stark through the same, paces and conditions, almost to see if he can replicate it all over again of like building a suit. So it's like kind of interesting of where it's all headed. So I'm enjoying it. League is basically right there with the 3.9. It's an interesting premise. I'm sure what's going to happen is at some point, one of these kids, these geniuses, is going to come out and face Tony one-on-one. He's going to have to like talk them out. And then maybe we may have, or talk them down. We might have a new hero that comes out of it or a new villain that comes out of it. We'll see. But it's pretty cool. So I'm enjoying it thus far. Let's go ahead and show off some of the artwork here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Art is fine. Standard Marvel. Nothing too crazy to brag about or to write home about. It's totally completely fine. More about the story that you have here. Oh, here's a helicarrier, which I thought was a pretty cool shot that you have there. This is where he's captured on it, and then boom, looks like she's about to take him and put him through the same paces that he was doing before, trapped now again by Madame Mask. So yeah, Iron Man issue number 3, I gave it a 4. League gave it a 3.9. Then we come to Void Rivals, issue number 28. So we are continuing here with the Contestant Wars. This is part 4 of 6 that we have here. So this one, I gave it a 4. League gave it a 3.7. I feel like that's a fitting score. 3.7 feels right where it should be. This one feels the most of a filler book for Void Rivals that we've had in quite a while. But I thought it was good with what they did with Cobra a little bit, and now we're going to see some more of their involvement as they've kind of just been out there in space trying to track down some more Energon, and they've always been just there. A couple of pages and panels, per issue, but nothing really crazy until this issue. It's like, okay, now we actually have some substance here. But the contestants, they underestimated both sides of this conflict that is taking place, and now they're sending out like their best warriors that they can and to fight this fight. And so for me, the warrior guy that they send, which is like this face tentacle thing that shoots out all these tentacles and it's killing a whole bunch of soldiers on both sides of the Aragorian side and Celia's side as well. And the speech that he gives is just awesome, of just like annihilation and destruction and, surrender now, right? You have zero chance of basically defeating me. And it seems like the Quintessence now have the upper hand in the battle, but a lot of it is just this big battle that's taking place, and both sides now taking heavy damage and heavy losses as well. So the end, though, is the Cobra piece where their ship is shot down. So their commander was off the ship. She's still alive now on the planet, but their ship was shot down. So it looks like she's stranded there. I'm sure she's going to meet up with one side of it, whether it be the Aragorian side or the Zeratonian side. We'll have to see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to what happens next. But certainly more of a filler of just the battle continuing to wage on, and not really the best to jump in. You don't want to start 4 issues before where you have the start of the Quintessence War, or just wait till the end of this. But here's a nice full spread that you have here of this war kind of continuing. Here's where the contestants send down the heavy artillery, and he's this like crazy annihilator who is going to have dominion over the entire planet. And so enjoying that. And then here's where the ship is eventually shot down, and then you have just the one person from Cobra still remaining. So that is Void Rivals issue number 28. Again, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 3.7. Then we get to World Tree. So World Tree issue number 19. I gave this one a 4.5. League gave it a 4.2. This was a big issue for the cliffhanger in particular. Up till the cliffhanger, this issue was not doing it for me. It was probably going to end up getting a 3.5, but the cliffhanger was like massive for this one. So we are days, no, I think it's like months after the World Tree website has gone out there, and people look at this website, they go crazy, they start killing a whole bunch of people, create this huge mass blackout, and the internet's offline. We are months after that. But there's this one company that's still standing, and it's Mr. Bell is who's in charge of it. Found out that Mr. Bell is actually kind of behind it with Sammy and are part of the coalition that continues to spread it out. And so the friend group, they know Mr. Bell has something to do with it. They're going after his office building, trying to steal whatever information that they can, doing a whole espionage thing. So they break into the huge corporate building, and they go to the top floor to try to find what they're able to find. And when they get up there, the building explodes. So explodes, you have 2 people that are in there, 2 people that are on watch and stuff. And the guy that's in there, he's able to get out. I think it's 2 people, maybe it's just 1, but he's able to get out. So he ends up being alive. But it's insane that, this building blew up and like, is somebody onto them? They're not entirely sure. They feel like they see someone out in the distance who was looking at them, and maybe, another party is getting involved as well. So that happens. Then we have the FBI who's trying to investigate this as well. And the FBI agent, she is invited by Mr. Bell to have a conversation to see, what he knows and what they know, and then try to, solve all what's happening here. So the FBI agent shows up. She goes into the room, and sure enough, there's Mr. Bell. And they're about to have the conversation. But behind her is Sammy, who comes out from the shadows and stabs her in the side. Sammy then goes towards the side, stands next to Mr. Bell as they're both like looking down at her. And it's like the big reveal of, yes, these 2 are working together, which we knew as the reader. But the fact that the main FBI person now sees it as well, too, is like, holy shit, like this is getting super serious. Now, us as the reader, earlier issues already show that for sure the bad guys are going to win, because many, many years into the future, the world is a complete wasteland. What's remaining of society all had to go underground. They have just like these local servers that are set up, and it is truly, truly apocalyptic. So no surprise that this is the direction that it's going, but seeing it unfold is still super interesting. So there is that. So let's go ahead and show off some of the artwork. Again, with many James Tynion joints, it's more about the actual dialogue than it is the artwork itself. So it's all serviceable stuff here, and that's where the explosion takes place. But, I'm really here for the story that Tynion is unfolding, and all these different insane characters as they start to, play out their parts. So this is where the agent's here. You got Sammy, comes up from behind, stabs her, and then she is there with Mr. Bell, and they're looking at the FBI agent bleeding out in the office. This is at Mr. Bell's home. So yeah, World Tree. It's nuts. Crazy, crazy stuff. Issue number 19 here, I gave it a 4.5. League gave it a 4.2. Alrighty, next up we have Minor Arcana, issue number 15. This was a good one. Also, I gave this a 4.5. League gave it a 4.6. So Minor Arcana has been crushing it. It's always in that 4.5 range. Very rarely misses, and this one is no exception. So we go a little bit in the past here. We have Teresa, who is starting to discover that she has these like abilities to be able to see people's futures. She does all these tarot card readings, but now actually has powers. Now we find out in this issue that her grandfather has powers as well. So the grandfather was sent to jail for many years for killing a woman from a DUI, car accident. So he's let out, and he starts to lead a new life where he's doing the card readings and stuff. That's how he's making money. It's the only way that he can. And so he does this for a while, and then a man shows up who wants a reading. Turns out he's the widower of the person that the grandfather killed. And so he starts to realize it really quickly, and he tries to get out of it. And the man's like, no, you're going to tell me exactly what I need. So it looks like a super dangerous situation. And he starts reading out the cards, and then sure enough, that's when, boom, his mind goes into that realm, and he's starting to actually see things. And the grandfather, walks down this hallway, opens the door, and he sees the woman that he killed and has a conversation with her. It's like, oh my gosh, I've been waiting for you. It's like, waiting for me? It's like, yeah, to tell my husband that we're okay and that I'm with our son. And you look down, and it turns out that they had a son together as well. Apparently, he died many years ago as well from a drowning incident in a pool. And so the grandfather takes that information, he leaves the realm, and he conveys it back to the widower. And he's like, oh my gosh, yeah, I haven't heard my son's name in forever. I was drunk and he fell in the pool, and I never forgave myself for it. Pretty screwed up place this is, where parents are doing horrible, horrible things here. But he's like, I'm so glad that you actually, you told me this, because I kept having these dreams about you. And so he's talking to the grandfather who killed his wife. And every single time, I'm so mad at you, I'm so mad at you, I'm so mad at you, and I want to kill you. And just right before I'm about to kill you, I can't. And you say to me every single time of we got to work together, or it's something along those lines. And then that's how that conversation ends. He walks out, and then we have, it kind of pans back to Teresa, and we'll see how this is going to intertwine to her. So what I imagine on my side is that, somehow these powers are then passed down to her. Not entirely sure if the powers are then also passed down to her daughter as well. Could have skipped a generation, so we'll have to see. But that's the story. It's pretty cool. It's awesome how it unfolds. Highly, highly recommend it. You'd be fine to jumping in this one, but you would be pretty confused, not going to lie. Minor Arcana feels like one of those where it's so slow burn, but you need a lot of detail to keep up with it, because it's intentionally one issue talks about this, another issue talks about that, then the third issue gets going to touch on stuff that they talked about something 2 issues ago. You know what I mean? So that makes it a little challenging, but I'm enjoying the hell out of it. So let's go ahead and show off the artwork. I think I mentioned all the time with this one, this is the watercolor pastel style of art and coloring, but it's really nice and kind of refreshing sometimes to see something a little bit different than your standard, big 2 comics. So that's been cool, but similar to all the tiny and stuff, this is all about the dialogue, and then the slow burn until finally you get this big twist or this big reveal, as it's kind of continued to be that way. So I am enjoying it for sure. That is Minor Arcana, issue number 15. I gave it a 4.5. League gave it a 4.6. Then 2 more here. Next we have is Skinbreaker, issue number 7. Awesome story. So this, I gave it 4.5. League gave it a 4.3. Skinbreaker continues to crush it. We got these orcs. They live in this tribe together, and you got these creatures that are hunting after them. These creatures keep getting smarter and smarter, but the tribe is so focused, and especially the new chief, and more the new chief's father, of keeping the old ways of using brute strength and force to fight and defend, rather than trying to develop technology and trying to set up traps, trying to find ways to collect water and farm and advance society. And they're just not hearing it. So our chief, he was banished, but now in this issue number 7, these creatures all attack, and they attack together as this big pack, and a whole bunch of the orcs are being slaughtered and killed, and the chief can only do so much. The chief's father, who is the asshole of the whole group, he's getting sick and dying, so he can't do anything, and it looks like basically the whole tribe is about to get wiped out, until our chief comes back, and he comes back with a weapon. It's the Skinbreaker, but reformed and reforged. It almost looks like, Darth Maul, where he has the dual saber. It looks like that, but the Skinbreaker is like this pink stone or gem at the end of it. So it's got the pink on each side. It looks pretty dope, to be honest. And so they both end up fighting then side by side, and they're able to kill most of the other monsters, all except for the one main one, which the cliffhanger is both of them are about to attack together. So the nice thing about this, and it gives you some hope, is the younger current chief looks like he's rejecting the old ways, or seeing that, we can't continue to do the old ways. We need to embrace that of the former chief, which is our chief, the main protagonist. And so they'll join up together. Hopefully they can take this one down, and then they kind of continue to, develop the tribe together. So it is such a cool story. I'll show off the artwork. Art's outstanding as always from the detail that they show here, and I've mentioned this before and I'll continue to mention, it's like so much is conveyed. Like here he is with the dual-bladed sword, like it looks freaking dope as hell, with so little dialogue, right? They're orcs, but it's all through the artwork and the facial features, and like exactly the story that they're telling, and it's just done super, super well. Like this should be the blueprint for any phenomenal like short piece story. Like I wouldn't be surprised if issue number 8 is the final one and they just kind of wrap it up and that's it. But it didn't take much. I mean, to just explain what is happening, and like it'll be one text bubble per entire page, not panel, page, and you just understand entirely what's happening. Super well done. So yeah, Skinbreaker issue number 7. I gave it a 4.5. Lee gave it a 4.3. We're getting close to the end. You should really start from the beginning so you can understand the full thing. But each story, you basically can pick up what's happening here. So if you see it on shelves, go ahead. But you might want to just wait for the whole thing to come out. Actually, let's go ahead and take a look real quick. Is this issue 8 going to be the last one? It is, yeah. I could just kind of tell. So that's a cool cover as well. So just one more here and then you're all set. So with that, we'll get to our final book here, which is Hyde Street issue number 11. This one, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.4, and I certainly understand why Lee gave it a higher score. For me, I don't know. I just feel like it's been tease after tease after tease, and this one was still kind of a tease here. So we finally get introduced to this butcher that they've been talking about probably for 5 issues or so. Like, no joke. Pranky has on this mask, and they're trying to get the mask off of him. And so what the doctor does is I think he gives him like this sort of medication, or he basically tells Pranky, like, you need to let the mask consume you, and wherever it takes you, right, you need to like deal with that, and then you'll be able to take off the mask. So that's what Pranky does. It takes him way into the past, where his mother is giving birth to him. So he can see the whole thing as though he's the young boy that he is now, but he's seeing everything that's happening to his mother. And so when she gives birth, the doctor and whatever starts to separate her from the baby, and she starts to freak out. And then Pranky starts to freak out. And so he can interact with this vision that he's having. And just there's a violent scene of like just like Pranky freaking out and attacking the nurses, attacking the doctors, attacking the security that's there, and then just like slaying people left and right just so he can be joined up with his mother. But then Pranky is finally stopped, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get to her. And that's where the butcher shows up. So the butcher shows up in this like separate underrealm, or like it's not really the mind of Pranky as much as it is like this different part of Hyde Street. And he starts fighting off all the guards and the doctors, and that allows Pranky to talk to his mother. And so the butcher then says to Pranky, like, hey, you see what I can do here? Free me. And then I can go back to Hyde Street, and I have the power to be able to take out the scorekeeper, who's the one that controls the entire realm in the first place. And you know Pranky, well, if you've been listening to this, you know Pranky. But he's an asshole, right? So he is just a horrible, horrible individual. The whole point of this is like it's purgatory, basically. And if you kill 10,000 souls, you can then go back to the real world. Pranky's way beyond that. And he just remains here because he's never turned in those souls and talk to the scorekeeper. He just likes killing people. Like, he's that sick and twisted. And so Pranky's like, yeah, I'll bring back the butcher with me as well. So we come back, Pranky's able to take off the mask, and he has this devilish little smile on his face, like he knows what's about to happen next. So yeah, my reason for not going any higher than just the 4 is like we're still not truly at to the point where like this infamous butcher is finally shown up, right? It's just in this dream realm, and it looks like it's okay, it's gonna be the butcher next, but it felt like it was gonna be the butcher featured in the next issue like 4 times at this point, if not 5. So it's like, all right, let's finally have him kicking some ass here at this point. So you can see, like, here's the butcher here where he's like killed all those people, which allowed Pranky and the mom to reunite, and that's where Butcher starts to make the plea of like bringing him back. And then this is where he has like that devilish smile of like, yep, he's gonna bring him back, all right, and it's gonna be a problem. So that is Hyde Street issue number 11. Again, I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4.4. So that's it. Those are the books. Let's go ahead, gather all 10 here, and we'll just read them off, recap them real quick just so you know. We had Superman, Spider-Man, number 1, just the one shot here. 8 different stories in here. Great crossover from the first main story to really all the 8 in total, but the 7 additional were just as good. Then we had Absolute Martian Manhunter issue number 10, where John is reunited with the Green Martian, but now it looks like his wife or ex-wife might be possessed. Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 18, where we have Wonder Woman and Zatanna teaming up to go against Zatara. Ultimate Endgame number 3, Kang shows up. Turns out he is Tony Stark, and seems like Iron Lad now has a plan to stop the Maker. But the Maker takes over the symbiote and becomes Carnage. Iron Man number 3. So Iron Man now knows where Madame Mask is, but he is captured. Is he going to be able to stop her? Void Rival issue number 28. The Quintessence have sent their ultimate weapon down to the planet to try to stop Derek and Celia's civilization. World Tree issue number 19. Mr. Bell's building blows up, and the FBI agent is now been wounded and likely dead as well. Minor Arcana number 15, Teresa's grandfather also has some powers as he is confronted by the widower of the woman he killed from his DUI accident. Skinbreaker issue number 7, we have the former chief and the current chief teaming up together to stop the monsters attacking their village. And then Hyde Street issue number 11, Pranky, he summons back the butcher who's going to take on the scorekeeper. So yeah, those are the 10 books. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Before we go ahead and wrap it up, let's jump over to the polls for next week. We are locked and loaded with a small number here, just 4 books in total. So we're going to have Iron Man issue number 4, Moonstar number 2, The Nice House by the Sea issue number 9, and then Transformers number 31. So those will be the books for next week. The next issue, though, are going to be, those 5 or 6 that I talked about for today, plus a couple more of the backlogs. And yeah, we'll just kind of keep going. And just only expect Saturdays up until May. And then from there, I'll just give you a little bit more detail as far as what the schedule is going to be like moving forward. So hope you guys enjoyed the show. Go ahead and wrap it up. If you want to follow on social media, check out the description below. And if you'd like to support monetarily, you can go ahead and check out buymeacoffee.com/SaturdayMorningReview. All proceeds honestly just go to some comics. So if you want me to read particular things, that's the place where you can go ahead and support. But other than that, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so very much, and I will see you all in the next one.
Go, 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 go. This has been a DMW production. Thanks for stopping by.